Hello and welcome. I'm here today with two gorgeous, empowering businesswomen. Would you mind introducing yourselves, please, ladies?
Hi, guys. Do you want to go first? I'm Kay. I'm head of design at the Giving Movement from the UK, but I also worked and studied in Stockholm, Sweden. And then I moved to Dubai about 6 years ago, where we started the Giving Movement.
Amazing. Hi, I am Ada Pandey, co-founder and creative director of Kiara Jewellery. I've had a long journey of studying medicine and doing research and then pivoting to luxury retail. So it's been a entrepreneurial roller coaster ride for me.
Quite the journeys, both of you, just from the absolute off. Should we start off with some nice playful questions just to get you guys talking? So tell me a little bit about what your kind of day in the office looks like. What you got on your desk, what you're wearing to the office, etc., etc. Do you want to start?
Shall I start? Yeah. So I like to be comfortable when I go to the office. So I'm in my uniform, which is my sweatset, my tracksuit, my hoodie, my leggings. So I like to test out a lot of the product that we're designing and developing every day. So I tend to wear the stuff that's upcoming and we're about to release. So whether that's testing the fabric or the fit, etc. So I tend to spend my time in that. And on my desk, I've got a standing desk. I like to stand whilst I work because I feel like
very
it keeps
Victoria Beckham of you.
Keeps me very focused. And I have a little hippo on my desk.
Even in heels, you're standing in your desk.
I don't wear heels to work most of the time. Yeah.
Amazing.
Just mainly like trainers or like
Brilliant.
comfy clothes.
But it's so amazing that you get to test all your prototypes before you release them.
Yeah, it's really important because we have so many fittings every week.
Absolutely.
And then I end up sort of wearing them and keeping them on to test.
I love that. Nothing like actually putting a product to test in the office that you're
Absolutely.
producing it, I think.
Absolutely.
And I assume your work uniform involves quite a lot of jewellery.
Oh, yes. So like Kay, I try to wear my jewellery, design them, try them on, and then try to showcase them to most of our VIP clients, how they're liking it before we release a larger batch out. For me, because we deal in jewellery, I try to always be dressed well or make note that I am always looking proper because we are in a public-facing industry and vanity matters, sadly so.
Yeah. So I think let's jump straight in with the kind of creative process. Obviously, you've got slightly different products at the end goal, but the way that you design, I imagine, it has the same kind of creativity running through it. How do you normally start off the creative process when you're looking at a new collection, maybe the jewellery or kind of athleisure? Where do you start?
Okay.
Do you want to go first?
Oh, okay. So I am Indian in origin and I have lived in England for quite a few years. So I always try to have a marriage between East meets West, always trying to represent our Middle Eastern, South Asian culture. So in our jewellery, you will always find like in a well-balanced meal or dish, there are staples, which is a heritage collection, which represents our Indian and Middle Eastern designs, which are our staples. And then we add in the exotic garnishing with like new drops and smaller gemstone jewelry or something a bit more niche or more international for consumers to experiment with and pair with along with their staple jewelry pieces.
Wow, what a beautiful analogy. What about you? What's your recipe,
nice.
I guess,
That's
for
really
design?
Nice to hear. From my perspective, I love to just immerse myself in the creative process. And at this point, it's like no looking at numbers, no looking at anything. It's more just really immersing yourself into creativity and what inspires you. And with that is travel. I feel like inspirational travel is really important. So going to new places, although like similarly to you, homegrown is really important to us. We're a homegrown brand and we're really proud of our roots and everything that we stand for. But it's also really important to visit other places and get inspiration in terms of innovation or how other people do things, whether it's fabric developments or retail experiences or whatever it might be. It's really important to go out, visit the world and see what's out there so we can kind of be be inspired and bring those pieces home and see how they can help us be better.
I think you both just touched then on kind of travel as being key touch points for your design process. You obviously mentioned London. I think as we were talking in the green room, you said about your travels recently. Where is it that you feel most inspired before you start a collection?
For me, so it depends on the season. So when we're looking at autumn, winter, it's places like Korea and Tokyo because they're super ahead of the curve when it comes to fabric innovation and also just retail experiences. And spring, summer can be other destinations. And throughout my entire career, we've always visited specific places for different seasons. So in the summer, we might go to Amsterdam or Barcelona, and in the winter, it might be New York or Korea. So I recently was in Korea 2 weeks ago for a creative kickstart. So that was really inspiring and came back with a lot of inspiration and just like a refresh to how things are there, and inspired me in a lot of different ways, not just with design, but also there's a whole other sort of experience when it comes to retail and the way that they do pop-ups and the experience that you get when you're actually shopping. It's really inspiring. So that was one of my key takeaways from my recent trip.
And can I ask Kay a question?
I would love you to. No one wants to hear my voice.
So based on your travels, and I understand especially people in Korea and Japan have such a nice way of loving pastel colours and seasons and all of that. Have you tried to incorporate that in your design strategies?
So the colour, like our colour sort of inspiration comes from several different things.
Amazing.
So we start with a forecast of what colours will be trending. So that comes from places like WGSN and Tag Walk, other forecasting websites, and then also inspiration trips, and also what your gut feeling of what you feel is going to be new and fresh and engaging for the customer, because it's also nice to bring in some new shades that you can't find everywhere else. So that's also important when it comes to the colours.
I'm not sure how aware you are of WGSN and these trend forecasting sites. They're kind of libraries, I guess, aren't they, for future, you know, whether you're going to be wearing polka dots and whatnot. Is there a jewellery equivalent to that? Do you kind of look at trends, or because jewellery is a bit more timeless, I guess, than seasonal drops, do you look at more creating concepts based on slightly more solid ideas?
So I'm not sure if there is a WGSN for jewellery, but I think we being a 2-year-old, now 3-year-old brand, we always look up to bigger house names and like Cartier and Bulgari, and even especially for integrating colours and newer designs, it's all about, let's say, what Christie's and Sotheby's are selling in auctions. Like this year was all the rage about Paraiba, which is like a very vibrant bluish green gemstone, which is selling higher than a diamond price, and you'll see a lot of people integrating with Paraiba in their new jewelry designs. And we've also tried to experiment with it and probably launch something pre-Christmas this year. So I'm not sure if we have a WGSN, but of course Cartier, Bulgari, they've had their jewelry houses for years and years before I was even born. So they're always great to take inspiration from.
Straight up on the inspiration board there, for sure. Now, you said you've tried to incorporate, what was the gemstone called again?
Paraiba.
Now, when you say you've tried, does that mean it wasn't a successful kind of finish at the end?
Oh, it's not about tried that it's not successful. Paraiba is, again, a very expensive gemstone. So we're trying to integrate it not as statement necklaces for weddings or ballrooms or galas, but more so in like a daily wear bracelet or a workwear earring and pendant set. So we are trying to add a different twist to the Paraiba, because I've seen a lot of, like, the recent sighting was a billionaire Nita Mukesh Ambani wearing it at a function, and it was all the rage in the jewelry industry. So we're trying to have a more modernized daily wear twist to it.
Which I think leads me on quite nicely to kind of how you both choose materials and why they matter, you know, because obviously what you do, you have to have a slightly technical side to your product.
Yes.
And obviously every material you choose matters. So how do you go about that, and what's the kind of thought process behind that?
So we start with the forecasting, the inspiration, and the main sort of attraction is comfort. That really pulls me in. So if I feel something and it's like, oh my gosh, that feels so soft, immediately I'm drawn to it, because one of our brand sort of USPs is that everything is comfortable. Mm-hmm. So you want to buy and you want to wear it and you want to keep it on. And that is sort of the root of each fabric and the innovation behind it. So if it doesn't feel super comfortable, if you don't want to wear it all day long, we don't go for that one. We'll pick something else that's more feels like a hug.
Oh, amazing! But that's such a great way to like assess the quality of a product, right?
Yeah, that's the first initial sort of attraction, and then it goes into the quality of the fabric. Is it going to last? Yeah. We have several testing processes for each fabric to make sure there's no pilling, it lasts for a long time, because also our design sort of ethos is very much timeless product. So we want people to be able to purchase an item and wear it for a very long time. It's not something that's going to go out of fashion very soon. It's a staple in your wardrobe. You can look after it. You can keep it for a very long time. And that's why the quality of the fabric is really important.
And I guess that's the kind of bridge between both products that you produce. Obviously, everything that you sell, you want to be timeless and you want to be treasured forever by your customer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's super nice.
Yeah.
I think a hug and a product is also super nice. I'm loving the analogies today, ladies.
Analogy
yeah.
Beautiful.
So I guess I'd love to talk to you about responsibility within design. We're talking about fabrics and fabric choices, and obviously a lot of your foundations are built on sustainability and, you know, timelessness. How do you make sure that the products you're producing are kind to the environment and, you know, good for the world, I guess?
So all of our materials, whether it's fabric or trims, buttons, zips, etc., they're all sustainably sourced and eco-conscious. So this has been a big part of our brand from the beginning. So we're very proud of our materials and the transparency behind them. But I think also it's not just the fabrics, it is about the design as well. Like we were talking about timeless pieces, making sure that we are responsible to design things that are not within that fast fashion bracket, where it's more something that you can treasure and keep and style in hundreds of different ways, and also wear in a really versatile way. So our product is not just for travel or for the gym. You can also wear it at home. You can also style it to be more smart, etc. So you want to design products that people can wear in very versatile ways. And I think that also equally contributes to designing something sustainable.
Brilliant. That was so insightful, right? Because I see people wearing the given movement of all age demographics, walking around the mall, playing paddle, traveling at the airport. So there are airport looks, there are
Heeled
going
looks,
to the gym.
you know.
Yeah, heel looks. It's
pretty,
iconic. It's giving Balenciaga, honestly. I love it.
Totally agree.
I love a witchy shoe.
I do. It's looking gorgeous. I'm loving the
Thank
aesthetic.
you.
Beautiful, Kay.
Thank you so much.
So I think for Kiara as a brand, it's easier because we deal in gold and diamonds and gemstones. It's about we have every product certified, and we source all our raw materials ethically. We work with very ethical, certified artisans from all over the world. And being a jewelry brand, we're very transparent about our making charges. And that's what we provide as a retailer to our customers. We are very transparent about this is what the gold cost is, this is what the gemstone cost is, and this is what our cost is. Now, where do you want to bargain is probably at our making charges, and we're happy to have our customers bargain with us, try to understand why this jewelry took so much time to develop, what's the design processes behind it. And again, being a family jeweler means having very family-like, honest relationships with your customers. So it's not just about selling a one-off product and making a good margin. It's about having the customer come back to us, share their stories with us, because I've seen so many customers buy their first bracelet after graduating college or buying the first pendant. So we're selling moments. We're not just selling products, and I think there always needs to be a human touch to it.
I love that part about your brand. I think that's super nice. And I think that's also what sets you apart from all the bigger houses.
Yes.
This kind of like relationship with your customer and the transparency.
Yes.
And especially with your consumers, whether they're South Asian or whether they're Middle Eastern. This is something that we look for when we're buying gold.
Absolutely.
So I think it's important to have that transparency, and I think that's something that your customer appreciates.
Yes. Thank you, Kay. Thank you.
I'd love to talk to you a bit about kind of product mix, drops versus kind of core collections that you have, and how you decide as brands what becomes core, what is timeless, and what becomes a more fashionable drop.
So for us, we launched 5 years ago with our initial collection, which funnily enough, it's our core, it stayed as our core. So those pieces that we released 5 years ago, they're still our bestsellers now. So we've introduced several different ranges in the beginning. In the first couple of years, we experimented a lot with different products and different fabric types. And that was really our time to experiment and see, you know, where can we grow, etc. But over the last 2 years, it's been more about refinement and also learning exactly how to segregate the collection in that way. So we use a format called Boston Matrix, which is from my previous life when I was designing for H&M. This was a process that we used to use. And H&M's like the largest global retailer. So it was one big process I wanted to bring to the giving movement to make sure that we create that sort of segregation every time we're in our planning phases. So the Boston Matrix, it's like a visual mapping of the collection, what worked, what didn't work. So there's the cash cow, which is our revenue drivers. We have dogs that don't do so well. We have stars that are potential cash cows. And then there's question marks where we don't know what they are yet. So at the end of every collection, we segregate into the Boston Matrix. We review it as a team. And then we know, okay, for the next collection, what do we cut? What do we make sure we definitely don't lose this? And it gives us a really good idea, a foundation of what to build. And before we start designing, it's like a key process for us.
I love that. And I really want to go home and Google the Boston Matrix. Yeah. And what about yourself? Because obviously everything you do is timeless, but as you say, the trends come and go with jewellery, even within jewellery, depending on the stone and whatnot.
So for us, like I had given the example of a well-balanced meal, we have our heritage collection, which is our cash cow, if we put it under the Boston Matrix. And our cherries on top and garnishing would be like, these days Cuban chains are very much trending, right? And the Gen Z want to have a lot of bling on. And now lab-grown diamond is very much booming. So we have weekly meetings where every Monday we'll sit with our designers and give them a smaller batch to start making. Then again, for us, it's always about asking our regular clientele, if we make this, would you be keen to see this, come try it on? And so we have like our customers are our focus groups essentially. And we can assess if we want to have a larger batch in production of the newer launches we are launching, because it is a heavy investment. But it's all about launching in smaller phases and smaller SKUs and then seeing if it is turning into a cash cow or not, and always having our main hero pieces always selling on a regular basis for our ROI.
Exactly. I think that's a really good balance to have, because you can rely on your cash cows to be bringing in the stable sort of revenue, and then you have the cherries to experiment and kind of see what works, what doesn't work. And the testing part's very important, because otherwise the collection never evolves.
Yes.
And you need that sort of experimentation to evolve the product, because every product has a product life cycle, and it kind of, there's a peak and, you know, it comes down again. Yes. So you need to assess where is each product in the life cycle. And if it's coming down, the testing is what gives you a new option to replace it with. Yeah. So it's very important.
Amazing.
Love that. And so obviously, you know, some things don't always work out. And products obviously don't always do as well as you probably think they do. Have you ever had any key moments throughout your journeys in the design process where you really thought something's going to make it and just, sell out, fly off the shelves, and it's just not worked out for you?
I think, that happens like more often than you think. Because there's only so much that you can kind of predict from the inside. And of course, focus groups are really important. We have our top VIP customers come in and they tell us what they like, what they don't like. And what we've started doing is giving a bit of a showcase of our ranges to our top customers, and they'll give us feedback, we don't like this, or this is amazing. So that gives us a bit more insight into what we want to buy more heavily, or what we will just, it will be like a small drop, and we'll test this in a small MOQs, etc. But I think the planning is really important for that. And I think if you can limit that to just the capsules, then you're in a good place, because not everything is always going to work. But if it's in the testing phase that you realize that it didn't work, that's when, that's what that's for, basically. That testing is to make sure that you don't go too deep in a product where it's going to be detrimental to the brand, and you kind of test it out first. But within those tests, there's lots of different results. Some things just don't work. And then okay, we won't do that next time.
Got to move on, learn to move on. And yourself? So
I don't have an entrepreneurial background, and I studied medicine, so I learned clinical trials. And very beautifully, we had phases in clinical trials. So when we're launching a night's jewellery line, we start with a smaller batch. We test it out with our consumers if they're liking it. First of all, I just test it out in myself, because like clothes, if my jewelry feels comfortable to me, I would want to wear it every day. And that's very important, especially when I'm playing with gemstones and diamonds. If it's tugging on my clothes, I'm not going to wear this item again the next day. I'll save it for another day. And is it a sensible investment to buy something extortionately expensive if you wear it twice a year? So I try it on my friends, families first, then again VIP clienteles, how they're liking it, how's the touch and feel of the product. And then it's very instinctive for the consumer to come to the store and say, hey, I like this, can we get some more orders for our relatives?
Nice, that's really cool. Fun to also test out diamonds.
Oh, absolutely.
Best friend of a girl. So how do you think, because obviously both brands have seen exponential growth recently, how do you think you grow while staying really authentic to the reason you set up the brand and your original messaging, without getting too big too quickly?
Do you want to start?
I think for us, I think we did get very big very quickly. And that was something that we went through a hyper growth phase in the first couple of years. And we describe it as a rocket ship taking off, and it hasn't been finished building yet. So it's still, you're kind of building it as it's on its way up, and you're fixing things, and you're sort of finding solutions to problems whilst you're skyrocketing. So it's like high pressure environment, and it's also super fast paced. And it was something that we weren't expecting. It just happened. And I think now in year 5, we're in a phase where we are a bit more steady. We know our customer. We know what our retail experiences should look like. We know what our qualities should be. We know what our collections should be. We know our personas. So we've created specific personas for our male and female customers. So within the genders, we know the different age ranges, what are their interests, all of this kind of thing. So that's really important to kind of keep that grounding as you grow. It's really important to always keep understanding who is our customer, because that customer is forever evolving, and you can't always be designing and creating collections for the customer that was in year 1, in year 5. So this is it's an important lesson for any brand that's starting up.
Can I ask you a question? Do you feel a variation in the customer versus the purchaser? because I'll give an example. Being a jewelry-based brand, when I look at the billing tally and the invoices, it's 85% men. And I was also shocked with this survey because it's mostly families coming in and the head of the house paying or the husband paying.
Yes.
Or
Excellent.
That's really interesting.
Have you ever
I think for us it's almost the other way around, where the female is buying for her husband or her partner.
Amazing.
And also for her kids.
Wow.
So we have our female customer is our biggest, and there's the mum, there's several different personas, but yeah, similarly to you, it's almost like our menswear, a lot of our menswear is bought by the female consumer. So that's one of our strategies also, is to expand our menswear, and not just for the female to buy the menswear, but for men to come in and buy as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it.
But in fact, now that I think of it in retrospect, when I was in school and college, I'd always ask my male friends that, who buys your clothes, just as a styling perspective. And they'd be like, my mum or my sister. And that is so insightful.
Yeah.
And so many times, jewelry is bought by men.
Yeah, true.
How insightful.
I always say to my husband, just get me gold.
It must sparkle, you know, that's what we're going for. We've got a few minutes left, and I guess I'd really love to talk to you about your best business advice that you'd pass on to emerging creatives and people that also want to follow in the footpaths of you two women and start their own brands.
So the best business advice I can give you is inspect what you expect. Because sometimes I may think or expect that my team may be able to provide this in the specific timeline, but when you go to inspect it, that's not the reality. So the best piece of advice these days I've been following and practicing is inspect what you expect.
I love that. I'll take that.
That's very nice. I love that. Great. I think for me, what I experienced was almost learning how much grit I have. So it's really important to learn about yourself and how far you'll go. And it's really important also to stand your ground and make sure that you stay true to yourself. Especially as a creative, it can be difficult when you're in an environment where it's about the numbers, and obviously that's very extremely important. It's really important to understand that aspect. But it's really important as a creative to know what you bring to the table, and to make sure that you own that and you don't let anyone push you in a different direction, because what you bring to the table, you're the expert, you're the only person who knows about that particular area. So yeah, stay true to yourself, and also see how far you can push yourself in terms of grit.
Well, thank you both for bringing so much to the table today, and for all the garnishes and everything else that we've had. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. And you can follow both brands on the social media links below. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.